You are live.
Ready? Morning, everybody. Let's stand for the pledge in a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Commissioner Rushton absent with prior notice. Commissioner Bonnet, Commissioner Bailey. Here. Chairman Wessel.
Here.
Commissioner Solis Little.
Here.
Commissioner Allgaier.
Here.
Commissioner Lautner.
Present.
I apologize.
If you haven't done a meeting in a while.
Now I have time for public comment. If anybody would like to speak, yes, Eric.
Eric Lynn, Suttons Bay Township. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas and have a good New Year planned. I want to thank you all for another year of hard work and dedication for the county and the people of Leelanau County. I know it's a tough job. Somebody has to do it. And hopefully we'll have a good year ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Anybody else? Thank you. Any commissioner comments?
Happy New Year also.
And welcome to Deb from Philadelphia. Hi, Deb.
Hello, all.
We have on our agenda today 8 items. We are going to take item number 7 off and add it to the January agenda when Trudy will be here. And Deb will be participating via the Zoom. And our first order of business is approval of the minutes. Anybody have a motion for me? Yes.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the minutes from organizational session Tuesday, January 5th, 2021, special session Friday, October 21st, 2022, special session Friday, October 28th, 2022. Support.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 6-0. Thank you. We now have Ms. Allen and the Finance Department update. Hi, Deb.
Well, again, good morning, everyone from sunny Philadelphia. I want to, it's amazing technology, what we can do. I know Chet was planning on being there today to assist with the meeting, and speaking of technology, his flights didn't quite make it. So I'm happy that I can do this morning and be there with you all, at least virtually. The proposal that you have in front of you today is representing kind of a unique situation that we found ourselves in December with the departure of our previous finance director, Jared Prince. We, after meeting weekly with the finance committee, which is a composite of our treasurer, our clerk, myself, as the administrator, the chairman of the board has been part of that, as well as some of the treasurer and the staff. So I want to just thank everyone for their support during this transition, and especially the clerk's office. We have been very fortunate in the fact that they have been supportive of the transition. We were finding at those meetings that there were certainly some issues that we needed to address quickly with end of year financials and moving forward into the audit. So this proposal that's in front of you is to recognize the exceptional service that's being offered right now by the clerk's office in support of the new interim finance director, Kathy Hartzfeld. Kathy's been doing an amazing job, and she acknowledged when she took this position that she was going to need help. So this proposal is similar to what you've seen previously in October, but different from the standpoint, this is temporary. It is through the time period that we are able to hire a full-time finance director. That position has been posted. We are moving forward with that mindset. And I just can't thank everyone enough for the unified effort that we've received with everyone working together to help us get through this end of year and our audit preparation.
Thank you. Before we open up for discussion, I met with the finance review group yesterday, and I need to say I was very impressed with everybody in that room. The treasurer's office, the clerk's office, everybody was working together, and for the first time in a long time, I felt really good. And I know that this office was very busy late last night, and we all got an almost midnight email from Kathy and Jen. But thank you to them, and thank you also to the treasurer and his staff who have been helping in the transition with training the accounting staff. So teamwork. Yes.
I just had which might explain my question, since it was very late, and I apologize because we did just get these instructions. I looked over this one. But is there 2 amendment transfers 22-015? Because in the attachment of 22-016, there's an attachment and it has 22-015.
I have to look at what the title is, but when Jen and Kathy come in, they're gonna go over each one with you, and that would probably be a good time to ask.
Okay, because we just may need to, they might want to renumber
And
them.
they can look at it, and I don't know what they are. If one is for a different fund than another, that could also be a reason for it, or if one is a fund transfer in the budget amendment, I don't know.
Okay, looks like they're amendments, but it looks like there's 2 the same number, but if we have to renumber them, but
That's
maybe it's
easy enough
correct.
to do.
Yep,
And they're
yep,
gonna bring
okay.
them all in and answer
Okay.
questions.
All right, very good, thank you.
Yes. Good.
I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the administrator's plan for audit support training of the interim finance director and 2 account clerks as presented. And thank you for working so hard to resolve this issue.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I have a question,
Yes.
and I really appreciate the update, and I really appreciate everyone working together to move this forward to an independent department. On this proposal, so Kathy, excuse the names. So Kathy is doing day-to-day accounting. Is that correct? There you are. So day-to-day accounting, overseeing the actual accounts. Is this how this is going to work? And then in the meantime, you and Jen will train the account clerks? How is this exactly? Is that
So-
how I'm reading it?
Sure. I think, so yes, Kathy is doing all of the duties that would be associated with the interim finance director. Day-to-day payroll, all of the account review, bill paying, all of that process with support from Jen and from an oversight, if you will, from Michelle. But for the most part, that is, Kathy is taking care of those issues. And then I'm also, obviously, they're including me in the entire process because I want to learn as well. So this is kind of a shared opportunity.
So when does the training come in?
So that's happened. It's like OJT. It's happening as you know, as this process is going. So, and that's part of that 15 weeks to get us through the audit. So some of it has to do with getting through end of year, which we've been working on. I should say they've been working on, obviously late night. And then the next phase will be starting to prep all the documents for the audit, as well as moving into 2023 with the standards and processes that we've had previously that have always generated a solid audit for us. So continuing with those practices that we have utilized in the past.
I would invite Michelle to respond as well if she'd like to. We talked yesterday in our meeting that approximately 10 hours a week for Michelle and 10 hours a week for Jen and supporting Kathy and doing the training.
I'd say right now, since the 16th or 17th, it's been more contained in getting you in a position to get to today with Kathy. Getting proper procedures in place, but what's at the forefront right now specifically for today, as we discussed yesterday, is a lot of time has been spent reclassifying entries. And because of today's meeting, we have to make sure those funds outside of the general fund are not in the negative.
Right.
So we've been doing a lot more of corrective measures to get that in a position, because we don't want to see any funds. The general fund we can more attend to, although that's been impacted, and I'll explain that to you. We can deal with a lot of that after today's meeting, but coming into today's meeting, we're really focused on those funds where these monies have been expended from, because we don't want the treasurer to be in a position to have to do unnecessary deficit plans. So our focus has really been on that. I mean,
So that's been since
That
Jared
is-
left.
yeah, we have been doing a lot of that. I mean, the other night I was proofing journal entries for 3 hours. But we've got to make those so that we can make the appropriate recommendations for these funds to get them into the black. And then the training component will come with Kathy and us, but one person can only do so much. And so there's guidance at every level here. And it's just going to be a process, because it's going to intensify. I think we said yesterday that we got the notice that the audit is scheduled for March 13th, which means really by the first part of March, we've got to get everything in order. So you're trying to look at past records to get them in shape for the audit, while trying to enhance training that needs to be done, and just almost a little bit of a reset process, if that answers that.
So, and also, I understand the audit portion also. But we have, what is in the meantime, when do we expect, if any of our candidates will, for the new finance director, when will we begin interviewing, and what's a ballpark on expecting a new finance director then to come in and I imagine.
Are you asking me or Deb?
Well, I think we're gonna
that
have
might
the
be
same
a Deb
question,
answer.
so, yeah.
That's a great point, Commissioner Lautner. This proposal, if you see at the very bottom of it, it has a paragraph there that states that concurrently we'll be moving forward with the proposal from Raymond in terms of setting up processes, policies, procedures, so that any new finance director that comes on board will have a book that tells them exactly what the processes are going to be, so that we move forward in a positive way for that individual. We do have about 6 applications that we've received for the finance director position. However, I'm very mindful that until we have a solid plan in place and we have gotten through this end of year component, I think that certainly in mid-January, I want to start looking at those applications and moving forward, but I really think that it would behoove us to have a solid plan and have the processes and everything in place and how all of the departments interface, the treasurer's department, the clerk's department, the payroll, HR, all of those kind of integrate so that we're setting up this individual for the greatest success.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner O'Donnell? You have a hand up?
She asked my question.
Okay. Commissioner Robbins?
Okay, I have a question here. Okay, we got 3 people in-house that are training, which I don't have a problem with. Back in October, when this was presented to us, we turned it down and we approved with our audit firm, like a $20,000 contract. Where do we stand with that? Do we got trainers, training trainers, or where are we going with this?
I'll let Deb respond to that. Deb?
Mr. Robbins, I believe that the issue is, first and foremost, this proposal is to address our current, I would say, critical need to first and foremost get through the end of year reporting. This proposal for support from the clerk's office is a 15-week proposal up to, I should say, 15 weeks in support for getting us through end of year and then getting us prepared for the audit. And at the same time, working on internal processes with the new interim finance director. So that's one component. The component with Raymond, I think in reality, we are going to be asking them to train us on processes and policies as opposed to internal ways that we handle our accounting. I think it's how do we interface all of those and put those policies and procedures in writing so that, like I said, we are prepared going forward to have the best processes in place. And that will, of course, integrate what we're currently doing, but it'll also be best practices. So there is a delineation to some extent. There is some overlap, but there is delineation in terms of the expertise that we're asking Raymond to provide.
Any other questions?
So that being,
Yes.
so that being said, oh, go ahead.
So it would seem we have multiple, this whole thing. I hope we all learn from this about the proper way to make changes in an organization. But I trust that our new administrator will utilize the resources we have made available. I mean, there's a lot down the road here. You've got to get through an audit and you're doing your best to get through that audit and have our county finances on solid ground. I trust that you will utilize that relationship with Raymond or whatever their name is. You've also got a new finance director, so this thing's I trust you to utilize these resources appropriately so that you can get your people trained and our finances will be in good stead. It's complicated. It's extremely complicated.
Commissioner Lutner?
I'm trying to remember my train of thought. Whatever else, when it had to do with Raymond. Yeah, okay, I'll go to the second thought since as it's been stated, I think I just wish we had done these things. I get that. I get the policies and procedures with an entire new department, et cetera. My question was then, with Raymond Robson involved, going into audit 2020, when we go to audit 2023, there shouldn't be any hiccups. If everything stays on track, all the training goes well, Raymond Robson does make sure we've got all of our the policies and procedures and obtaining all that done, we should be in really good shape for the 2023 audit, correct?
For the 2023 audit,
2020.
yes, I think that's what we are doing. We're setting ourselves up moving forward. We acknowledge the 2022 audit that will be done in March.
Yeah.
There will be the reality that, Raymond will be doing that audit as well. We know that there are some issues. I mean, auditors look at things like consistency. We've had several different finance directors in that position. So that remains yet to be seen as how everything shakes out. But I know that we are doing everything we can to get ourselves in the best position. And that is the rationale for this proposal, is to make sure that we have the right eyes and the talent looking at this information.
So, that being said, yeah, I wish to reset, I wish we could have started this 2 years ago. That would be great, but we can't reset. Here we are today. So we have to move forward and I really don't see any other way that's going to be any better than this to do it. I really don't.
Are we ready to vote on the administrator's proposal?
Yes.
Okay, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Before we move on, I need to thank again the clerk's office, the treasurer's office, and the treasurer's staff and the clerk staff that have been working collectively to make this work. So thank you. We are now at the approval of accounts payable and approval of the paperwork that we received today and yesterday. And we did talk yesterday about a little bit more detail than we're used to getting in their overview of what we're receiving, because there was structural information in the prior package. Yes, Commissioner Lauder.
Well, I would move to approve claims in account $131,717.47. I did notice in them, it looked like perhaps, and I'm thinking, Kathy, that this is you, like the credit, I think it's Huntington credit card, and it pretty much listed everything on it. So it wasn't just a credit card payment, it listed, and so is that some of the detail?
Style.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's good.
It will help us hunt for that invoice
Yeah.
rather than having it buried in a group of 3 with one total. That's
Right.
very difficult to follow that trail.
Yeah, I that was something different, and I liked that as far as the change.
Any other discussion? We do have a motion, don't we?
We did.
Yes.
Just an
Commissioner Sokol.
incredible amount of work. Thank you to our clerk and thanks to the two of you. I just don't know how you got done in time. Thank you very much.
I think we're a little shocked.
Is it Thursday? No, I'm just kidding.
We
Is
don't
it
know
still
what day it
Thursday?
is.
The whole thing.
Oh, motion on the floor is claimed. Okay,
Yes,
I understand.
yes.
Now I understand your
Claims are
comment.
involved.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so let's vote on the motion, and the motion is approval of the claims. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion approved.
Did you hear my question over there with Michelle?
No.
She wasn't.
Sorry, I wasn't here.
Oh. Well, there was, we start with amendments, we're gonna start
Yep.
with, okay. There looks like 2015. 2015.
So it's 2 pages,
2 pages with the same one.
right? So it is uncommon for me to do that, but I wanted, it made it a little easier for Kathy and I to track these 2 together. And so I can go ahead and explain what's in front of you if you like, and I'll just do a general synopsis of each, and then you can come back and we can trickle down on the topic. So
Let's start with 11 then?
yeah, let's start with the fiscal year amendment 2011. On the top side of this, you're going to see revenues. these are the revenues that, when we put together the budget, we always put it together in August of the previous year to be approved and to fall into the next, into our budget cycle. So these are revenues that have come in either higher or are new revenues to the general fund. And I use those funds to then offset the expenses that are incurred, or in this case, also you'll notice I used a lot of this revenue for the hospitalization transfer. In Jared's proposal to you last time, he was going to transfer from the general fund to the insurance fund. We would, due to grants and other budgeting and reporting that we do, we would rather cost allocation the hospitalization like we currently do versus sending it over to the general fund. So what I've done is I've just taken expenses that I knew were either coming up or were related to one of the revenues, and I've taken that in consideration on 22,011. And then on 22,012 and 013, as well as 14.
And before you go on, are there any questions on 22,011?
I thought, can we come back? Is that okay? Yeah, I'm gonna come back. So I'll come back. So 12, 13, and 14. These do not have, these are funds that do not have employee benefits. So there's no employees linked to these funds. So it's easier for me to do, easier for us to do the revenues and expenses that, if possible, are either over a little bit now, or I don't feel if a bill comes through, there was enough to pay the bill. So in 12, 13, and 14, no staffing, no hospitalization, just looking at funds and looking at year end. In 15, it is 2 pages. I wanted to put, for Kathy and my ease, anything that had to do with hospitalization on that amendment, so that she and I can make sure that when we get to number 16, where the hospitalization fund is, it equals, versus looking at multiple amendments going forward. So everything in 22-015 is employee-based inside your funds. And then within 15, or excuse me, within 16, again, these are what we're looking at for our funds, our cost allocation of the motor pool, our cost allocation for our insurance, and the dam fund. And I can go through, I'll go through that. And then in 17 is my philosophy, as well as the county clerks in the past, is if we can use fund balance forward and save your contingency, if there are any items after year end, your contingency balance is $387,000. In Jared's proposal, he would have brought that down to 135. So I'd like to keep that 387. In keeping that 387, I'm using fund balance. So using fund balance in 17, these are all general fund revenues that tie to expenses. And then also things that I saw through the year that we probably would have amended along the way. For instance, the prosecutor had more jury trials this year. We saw that when we amended the jury trial fees, that those were, so his special matters or his special trial is one of those that I saw. It was budgeted at 1,500. He spent 42. So we're going to boost that that prosecutor budget up a little bit. Along with in MSU, they were short for an employee for a time period. So temporary office assistants were used. So I'm trying to catch the things that are already over before year end. So this document here, number 17, is actually the ones that would have thrown you over, that in essence, Jared did not process for you. So he would have waited and used your contingency, except your contingency number would have been less. So it's just a philosophy, a reverse philosophy of that. So
What is the 911 dispatch? Why is that?
on the bottom of 17?
Yep.
Okay, so if we go back to number 15, as an employee-based, and I know Matt's here in the room, he had employees leaving and new ones coming in. When he has his new ones coming in, there's a training process, so he has overtime.
Yep.
Yes. So I've increased the overtime in his budget, the salaries, and then again, we did that hospitalization altogether. So his is supported by the general fund and the tower fund. We've already have access to his tower funds for this tower. So I didn't pull more tower money. Now I can go back if you guys want to go back and look at each individual one if you have questions.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
Sure, go ahead. I would move to approve amendment number 011, 012, 013, 014, 015, 016, and 017, all for the year 2022.
A roll call vote or not?
Support.
Don't need one.
No, that's how much you want one.
All those in support of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed, same? Approved, thank you.
I would move to approve. You're gonna go with the transfer.
I don't think so. The only thing that's new to this is we did meet yesterday and John and I were concerned with the PRE funding that after his tax collection, a lot of times DTR comes back and pays that back. We didn't want to see any kind of deficit in that fund, so he's moving 25,000 from DTR into the PRE to cover that.
So I would move to approve fund transfer 22-007.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 6-0.
Thank you.
Welcome.
This is laid out so well, it is easy to follow and think.
We'll be hoping to we'll be hoping to train and teach your new finance director as well. In the layout, they can always change the style, but the processes that we've come to get to this.
It makes it so easy to follow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Happy New Year.
Now, Matt, thanks for being here. On for the potential Leelanau Township Tower Alliance with Cherryland. And Chet was planning on helping you with this, but he's having breakfast on the plane this morning.
Oh, that's okay. Not a big deal. Chet and I have been working together with Cherryland Electric, and we're bringing Deb into the fold here now in order to move forward with this partnership. And Cherryland Electric has been very motivated to be a partner with this new tower that we're proposing in Leelanau Township. One of the things that we are going to need in order to move forward with this process is a soil boring sample, same as we did here for this tower. We need to have that as part of the RFP process so that the vendors can actually identify and design an accurate foundation for the tower. So the good thing about this is we expect the soil boring fee to be no more than $7,500, and Cherryland will cover half of that. So it very well could be less than that, but the one that cost here was $6,100. And I just, if it's in the middle of winter, it might cost more. I just wanted to make sure that we had an accurate number on there. And Gosling Zubek has done a fantastic job with the study that we had on the tower here. So I would recommend moving forward with them. They were the cheapest option that we went through with this other tower as well.
Questions? Yes.
I would move that the County Board of Commissioners waive its bid policy and allow the county administrator to sign a contract with Gosling Zubek to perform a soil boring study for Leelanau Township Tower project with funds not to exceed $7,500 and to come from the general fund.
Support.
Any discussion? Any questions for Matt?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a lot of work.
Yes.
And thank
Do it
you,
again.
Cherryland and Leelanau Township for willing to be involved. as well.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Ellen, before we vote on this?
No, I think just thank you, Matt. He's been doing a great job staying on it, keeping me informed. And I know Chet's been very involved in this, and I look forward to being part of those discussions going forward.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion approved, 6-0.
Thank you very much. Just an aside, I'm going to go back and assist AT&T with hopefully improving the Wi-Fi here. So appreciate you being rather expeditious with this meeting, and I'll get back to AT&T.
Do you
Thank
have
you.
anything to report to us on the photos we saw yesterday of the drones in Cherryland Towers and placing some fiber?
No, I am not aware of that, actually.
Tricia, do you have anything in it?
Just that they are doing as much work as they possibly can in what they call make ready, the engineering portion of it to begin to actually lay underground towers. But this is involving the overhead, as you will recall, part of this the point broadband project is utilizing Cherryland Electric's towers. So part of it will be overhead with the fiber, part of it will be underground fiber. So this is the beginning. It's pretty exciting to see it happening.
Kind of nice.
So go to the Facebook page and you'll see those photos with Point Broadband and Cherryland. The fiber project.
Broadband.
Broadband.
Is that what it's called?
Go to our Facebook website and you can.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ms. Allen, do you want to introduce the next one?
That's fine. I know this is a kind of a continuation of a discussion that was started earlier this year. There was also an initial motion that was made to move forward with a partial payment earlier this year in May in recognition of the executive assistant's support for the Parks and Recs department, or I'm sorry, committee. So this is just finalizing the rest of that payment from the board to Laurel for her efforts to support that group. If you all remember, I understand from what I have heard historically is that she has provided valuable support to that committee in keeping things organized, on track, and supported. So this is just the final payment of what was previously discussed for 2022.
That has prepared in the last statement on his cover memo. He is recommending that the commissioners approve the second portion of the budget stipend, which is $1,600. If somebody wants to make that motion.
I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the second portion of the budgeted stipend for Executive Assistant Laurel Evans for her work with Parks and Rec, which is $1,600.
Second. Now let's have discussion. Any questions? Laurel's here as well.
Sorry, I was looking out who seconded that.
Fisher, Rick, as members of the Parks and Recreation Commission, do you have any comment?
I'm
No, no, in fact, I had to go back over the minute to try to remember what we had done. So I guess I was just, had we approved 4,000 or I mean 3,600, that must be what, because we did it by the month, right? That is what we did.
Chad had
Now by the month.
Chad had included an excerpt from the executive
Yep.
session, and the
Yep.
regular session had the final motion stated, approve a $2,000 stipend for work performed in 2021 for Executive Assistant Laurel Evans as a one-time lump sum to be paid out in May of 2022 from that account. So that was for last year's work done. I've been assisting them dutifully throughout the entire year.
And it's been going very, very well. So thank you for that. Thank you for all your help.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Any questions? Ready to vote? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Approved.
Thank you.
Laurel.
Thank you.
We are not going to do the item number 7. The 8th agenda item is the employee MERS purchase agreement, and we did approve that by voice vote, but it has to be a roll call vote. We approved that at the last meeting, but because it's a resolution, we need to approve that again. You want to say anything about that, Darcy?
No, I think you just summed it up.
So the motion we're voting on is approval of the resolution to approve to reapprove the additional service credit purchases.
Oh, I want to make that motion. I make a motion that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners reapprove the former approval of.
How about if the motion is as stated on?
Yeah, he just said it so well. I'm sorry.
The formality of having it correct.
So moved.
So the motion is to recommend to the County Board of Commissioners to approve by resolution to purchase 5 years of generic service credit for MERS as described in the application for additional service credit purchase at a cost of approximately $61,905 to be paid by the employee. That's the motion.
Support. Oh, okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
So I'm just going to further, like, what's the drive behind it and benefit or cost? We went over and Jen covered some of the concerns with it previously. Did we cover it pretty thoroughly? There's really no cost to the county now.
This is a way of buying service credit. They are paying the full amount, which is a fairly, I'm sorry, Darcy.
Oh, go ahead, you're fine.
Sorry, force of habit.
Me too.
Darcy and I have talked about this. They are putting in a substantial sum of money. It gives them generic service credit. They're not like some of our other people that might have military or school or whatever. And when they eventually do retire, this is the first money that they're going to be drawing on before it ever hits the county. So it is a little bit of a risk on their part.
Okay, in the thing is right now with, apparently this is a good time to buy MERS because of the market?
That I don't know. You're gonna get the increased interest. I mean, it's gonna come into the county. I mean, she's gonna obviously get
We
some.
as a county will get that interest.
Well, it's gonna go to her account. It's gonna show up on her account, whether it's good time or bad
But it
time.
all pools.
I don't really know.
Okay, somebody was trying to tell me it was a really good time to do it, and I didn't understand that. That it was a good time to do in the market right now.
Any other questions? Could we have a roll call vote on that?
Yes, please. That's the purpose. So Commissioner Alguer,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Lautner,
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins,
Yes.
Commissioner Sotis Little,
Yes.
Commissioner Wessel,
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that completes our agenda. And we now are at public comment. Yes, Mr. Koski.
Good morning. I wish you all a happy new year and all the efforts you have taken to provide us the basic governance of this county. And the following are some of my thoughts. This primarily refers to item number 2 on your agenda. From my perspective, of this commission and administration will leave a less than pleasant legacy on this issue for the people. That is for the taxpayers and residents. Due to 2 questionable decisions, I believe. None of these had to happen. But from my perspective, these are non-essential and unmandated to be handled without a proper process. And they're based on emotion, conjecture, and even from my perspective, the disregard of fiduciary duty. These were self-initiated by the county. These were not requested by the taxpayers in the form of a legal, properly prepared petition. That is a petition from the people. This was a decision made on May 21, 2021. And the other decision, which is questionable, was a septic ordinance decision, which will have little or infinitesimal benefit to anybody. Think about that. It will have infinitesimal impact on our environment in a positive way. It will just not do the things that we could have done properly. So we trust that future commissions will learn from this process that occurred and hope that they will not go on the same type of decision-making process this commission has gotten into. In the long run, the most unpleasant truth is a safer companion than a pleasant falsehood. Theodore Roosevelt. Half the harm that is done in this world is due to people who want to feel important. They don't mean to do harm, but the harm does not interest them. Or they do not see it. Or they justify it because they're absorbed in the endless struggle to think well of themselves. T.S. Eliot. The final quote, if we can provide the government, rather, if we can prevent the government, which includes, I believe, county government, from wasting the labors of people, which we have done over $500,000 to date, under the pretense of taking care of them, they must become happy. Thomas Jefferson. Again, the best of a happy new year to all of you. Thanks for your hard work. And we look forward to a new commission to take over and hopefully unscramble what has gone on in the last 21 months. Thank you.
Other public comments? Any commissioner comments? So,
I'll go first. Yeah, given this is some of our house to see the last meeting. I first want to thank Eric Carlson for his article. I was very humbled by his kind praise and appreciate your acknowledgement of some of the projects I got you up to. Thank you. But in true reminiscing over the past 8 years, what I also want to add is to express my appreciation to the very talented number of people that I had the pleasure of working on these projects, because it's those individuals that are responsible for any success that we might have had, and also to my colleagues on the board, because you too play a major role in all that we've been able to do in the last 8 years. We've had some good successes, and we've had some hits and misses, but all in all, it's been a real joy to work as District 5's county commissioner and to work for all of the county as the Leelanau County Commissioner. And I want to particularly thank our staff. We have a very dedicated staff who we all get the recognition up here. They don't. And it's because of the work that they do that we're able to do what we do. A special thanks to Michelle Crocker, to Jen, to Ricky, and to all the department heads who have been willing to follow on suggestions and correct things when I was off track. Deeply appreciate it. And to my colleagues, it was with a real mixed feeling that I decided not to run. There are a lot of things that I'd like to do that I haven't had a chance to do, and I won't have time now. I don't have time to spend a lot of time with my husband. But I will miss working with you, and I will miss working with our staff, and I'll miss working with our county residents in this capacity. But as the article said, I hope to stay involved with things. And to this board coming forward next year, please do the classification study. We really need to address some inequities that are out there. And don't forget all of our staff that are unionized and taking a look at bringing in a union. And I'm not talking about negotiation, but for discussion on some of the issues that are still. So with that, I thank you all and wish everybody a happy new year.
Thank you.
Well, sure. So
on record for the shortest service ever. Like, it was interesting. Barely got my toe in, barely got to know anybody, but thank you for your support. And yeah, it was gratifying to be part of it, and hand off to Doug and wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. When you had your hand up.
We are going to miss you, Patricia. Thank you. And you are on my favorites on my phone, so I would be very honored to help in any way I could. Thank you. Lois, I loved having you right here with us. It was wonderful. Rick, we've had our ins and outs, but good luck to you. Rick lives in the same little neighborhood enclave as my son, so I do hear about Rick. I want to thank we have an incredible staff here. We have just an amazing staff. They are dedicated, they're smart, and they work hard for our county. So we are completely blessed. It's been a rough 2 years. I look forward to 2023. I think we have a great new administrator. It's with sadness that we say goodbye to Chet and fully welcome Administrator Allen. She has a lot of challenges, and I think she's going to do a great job. So I look forward to this new year. I look forward to working together for the people of Leelanau County in the next 2 years. I'm heartened by the people in our new commission. We will miss those who are leaving, and I'm very heartened. I'm excited about what we can do together. And Mr. Wessel, thank you for your leadership. And Melinda, we'll see you in next week. Thank you.
Linda?
You know, it's got kind of some interesting comments, and it is not easy to sit up here. So, you know, I'm always grateful to anyone who does want to serve. I think everyone who sat up here and served has done the job in the best of their ability to represent their own constituents and done the best thing for the county. So I appreciate anyone who serves, everyone who served, thank you. Everyone who's going to serve, thank you. As I said, it's not easy because it's very easy to sit and be an armchair quarterback when there's so much more. I think we can have a great 2023. I think that if we just move forward with a feeling of respecting where we are all coming from, and that we do sometimes represent different geographies, sometimes we represent different personalities, sometimes we represent different financial backgrounds, sometimes we just represent in a different way. So if we can just respect that and move forward, I think that we will have a great 2020.
One last chance, Rick? Well, I want to say thank you to the people that are leaving and the people that are staying, and to Deb for being here. And I have been so impressed with what I've seen in the last couple of weeks, and I know she's met with every single department head and lots of staff, and the vibes in this building are good vibes. I want to welcome the new commissioners that will be joining us at the table. Mr. Mikowski has constantly reminded us that sometimes we don't do right stuff or in the right way. And, you know, we learn from that as well. And as I think about the last 8 years that I've been here at this table, the times we've gotten in trouble is when we meddled with stuff or worked with stuff that didn't follow the process that we're supposed to follow. And I think there's lessons to be learned by that. And above my desk at home, I quoted, I doubt Mr. McKelvey has a Barack Obama quote above his desk. But I have one above my desk, Mr. McKelvey, it says, don't do, I have to say stupid stuff, but that's not exactly what Barack Obama said. But it's when we do the stupid stuff that we get ourselves in trouble. And for my part of being stupid sometimes, I apologize. But that we learn from our mistakes as well. And it's been fun working with everybody. Wish Happy New Year to everybody here and all of the staff. And thank to John and to Michelle and everybody and Deb that's making the finance thing. I think we're on a path now to move us forward. So thank you.
I'd like to say one more thing. Thank you to our scribe for keeping us honest.
Now, Rick, I'm looking for a motion from you.
Motion that we close this meeting.